All right, week 4 is here. Week 4 preview. I'm ready, guys. Week 4. It is the NFL season starting to heat up. Full transparency, if you are listening to this after the stream, per usual, just go ahead and skip a minute and a half in. I'm just going to tweet out the link and wait for a couple people to get in, and then we will dive right in. I'm very, very excited for week 4, and the heat of football season is finally getting here. So like I said, I'm just gonna go ahead and tweet out the link. So if you are watching this after the stream, maybe 7 o'clock Friday night, 2 o'clock Saturday afternoon, just go ahead and skip a little bit. Skip a minute and a half in. But we have a lot to discuss, guys. And the first game that we are going to discuss is we are going to break down the Saints at the Falcons. So that's the first game that we're going to do. So let's go ahead and tweet out week 4 preview, and let's go, guys. So Saints lost last week. They lost 15-12 to the Eagles. There was a lot, at least to me, I thought there was a lot of premature crowning of the Saints. Crowning of Clint Kubiak's the next guy up. Clint Kubiak is going to for sure be a future head coach. And I get it. I mean, they had 91 total points in the first 2 games of the year. But guys, the whole thing with the Saints for me was, yeah, they had a great start and there was going to be an inevitable fall off. But guys, this is the Derek Carr-led Saints. This is an offensive line that, credit to Talisi Fuaga, had a lot of questions heading into the year. And we've seen Trevor Penning kind of fall back. I mean, Trevor Penning had a good week 1, and there was kind of an overreaction where people wanted to say, man, Trevor Penning's taken a jump in year 3, and they're going to have a solid tackle duo of Talisi Fuaga and Trevor Penning. And now, unfortunately for the Saints, they have 2 interior offensive linemen out, so that's going to complicate some things moving forward. The Falcons also have their starting center out, so we do have some injuries on each side of the ball. And, let's see, going back for another week. How's it going? It's going good. I'm glad you started doing these. Yeah, we're going to continue to do them moving forward. But guys, look, Saints are on the road. I also have their schedules pulled up, so I want to go ahead and break these down. The Saints have a tough couple of games moving forward. They have at Atlanta in week 4, they have at Kansas City week 5, and they have home against Tampa in week 6. And I think there's a very real possibility that this team falls to 2-4 through 6 games. Atlanta, on the other hand, I do want to go ahead and pull up their schedule. They have a little bit of a tough stretch as well. They have home against Tampa in week 5, they have at Carolina in week 6, and then home against Seattle in week 7, and then at Tampa in week 8. And for Atlanta to be in the midst of a 3-game home span, Tampa's going to be a tough game. It's next Thursday. I refuse to believe that Atlanta's going to lose 3 home games in a row. And I know, I'm sure some people are probably wanting a comment on the end of the Falcons game last week, and there was maybe a play where Kyle Pitts was maybe trying to make a play, maybe trying to go get a touchdown, but I refuse to believe the Falcons are going to lose 3 straight home games, and I think they're going to get back on track this week. They're a 1-2 football team, and I think the first game against Pittsburgh was a little bit of just Kirk has to, get back and comfortable. And Kirk's looks like a completely different player in weeks 2 and week 3 than he did in week 1 against the Steelers. And I think Atlanta's going to get back on track. And I think Atlanta's going to win a close one. I think it's going to be a 3-point game, 20-17. I don't think it's going to be real high scoring. And I think the trenches are going to, especially with the Saints having 2 interior offensive linemen, I don't think the trenches are really going to dictate how this game is played. Give me Atlanta 20-17. All right. Let's see here. How we doing, guys? Love your videos. Appreciate it. Love listening to your content and love your going live now for these predictions. Absolutely. This is, I wasn't sure if we were going to be able to do it moving forward. I didn't want to promise it, but this is where we are, guys. This is where we are. So next game we have Bengals Panthers. Like I said, if you guys are enjoying, please drop a like, helps out tremendously, and hopefully you guys are enjoying the content. So, the 0-3 Bengals. This is not something I thought we would be talking about. Jaden Daniels had a phenomenal game in week 3. And I said last week during the stream, you can go back and watch if you want, but I said that the Commanders are going to keep it close. It's going to be a lot closer than people think. Cincy was 7-point favorites, and I thought Cincy was going to win. Left hand up. Thought the Bengals were going to be 1-2. But Jaden Daniels went 21 of 23, and there's a lot of concerns around the Bengals defense. And they didn't generate pressure last week. They are really, really reliant on Trey Hendrickson to generate pressure. And whenever he doesn't generate pressure, they just simply don't get it unless they blitz, and they rarely blitzed last week. I mean, they had a pressure percentage of, I want to say, less than 10%, and it was a very, very frustrating game for the Bengals and their fans. I mean, obviously, right? You give up 38 points, no punts to a rookie quarterback, and I worry about the Bengals moving forward. Not with the Joe Burrow, not with the Jamar, not with all that. I worry about their defense, and I worry about the long-term aspect of the Bengals and how they're going to really compete when it matters. And that's one thing that I'm going to be a little hesitant on moving forward. Now, the Panthers are a tricky team to project here because they won last week. They put up 36 points on the road, and they looked like a completely different team with Andy Dalton than they did with Bryce Young. So I don't really know how to take the Panthers right now. I'm eager to see where you guys think about this. Appreciate Dominique, appreciate the super chat, really appreciate it. But a lot of people, the internet joke this week was Andy Dalton has the chance to do the funniest thing, which of course would be to beat his former team. And Andy Dalton is the only player this year to throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in a game. So I don't think that's going to happen this week. I think it's going to be higher scoring than people think, and I wouldn't be surprised if each team puts up 25 plus points. I think the Bengals, I mean, guys, if they fall to 0-4, then it's time to have a discussion about Zach Taylor, Lou Anarumo, and every coaching member in the organization, because 0-4 is a death sentence, and their season would effectively be over. I don't care how much you believe in the Bengals. If they were to fall to 0-4, even if they finish 11-6, 10-7, I don't think they would be able to run the table. Personally, I don't know if that's a hot take. I don't think it should be a hot take, but I don't think they'd be able to run the table. Ultimately, I think Cincinnati will win. Like I said, I think it's going to be a pretty high-scoring game. I think it's going to be around 27-24. Wouldn't be surprised if it's 30-27, but I think it's going to be a very offensive-centric game. Little side note here, I do want to see the progression of Xavier Legette. Xavier had 2 receptions last week. He had a big 35-yard reception, and with Adam Thielen out, there is very much room for Xavier to step up, and the Bengals defense, there's a lot of questions within the secondary. There's a lot of questions really everywhere. So I am eager to see how the Panthers and how Dave Canales plans to incorporate Xavier Legette into the offense this week. Hello, everyone. How's everyone's day going? Finally caught a live stream. Let's go. Absolutely. I mean, we're here, and we're on to Rams Bears. So appreciate everyone being in here. Steve says you should do a shirtless stream. I'm not going to do a shirtless stream. I'm just not going to do a shirtless stream. That's just not going to happen. I'm not chiseled enough for that. We'll put it on the back burner, but definitely not a shirtless stream for now. What's up, man? Do you like the 2025 quarterback class or the 26? Full transparency, I have not dove into the 26 quarterback class yet. The 25 quarterback class, I'm not a big fan of, but I'm going to make a video in the next month or two, maybe the next, we'll say in the next month or two, about just the progression of young quarterbacks and how NFL franchises are not setting them up to fail, but just not really giving them a chance to succeed. And we're going to dive fully into that. There's going to be it might even be like a 20 or 25 minute video, because there's a lot to break down within a video like that. But the 25 quarterback class, I don't think is all that good. Now, as I record this, we are live streaming. I am eager to watch Cam Ward tonight. The Miami Hurricanes play Friday. I'm eager to watch that. But is Cam going to be a franchise savior? I don't know. Shedeur Sanders, I have a lot of questions around. The maturity is certainly one aspect. I also don't think he's all that. I don't think he's a first-round caliber prospect. Carson Beck, there's a lot of questions. Drew Aller, the upside is there because of the size and everything that he can do physically, but he's a little slow through the progressions at times. So I have a lot of questions around the 2025 quarterback class. But pertaining to somebody said if the Vikings win the Super Bowl, yes, I would do a live stream shirtless if the Vikings won the Super Bowl. Yes, I'd have the Vikings horns on and everything. But we don't have to worry about that for a while. Let's see here. Rams Bears. So the Rams won last week. Big win. There was a awesome picture with Sean McVay putting his hand on Kyle Shanahan's head, and it was just an all-around hilarious picture. Obviously, they go way back. 2013 Redskins coaching staff, they were there. Mike McDaniel was there. Everybody was there. Robert Saleh was there. Bobby Slowick was there. I think there's someone else I'm missing. Mike McDaniel, if I didn't say him. Everybody was on that coaching staff. They go way back. But Rams Bears, guys, here's the deal. Shane Waldron, I understand Bears fans are fed up with Shane Waldron. And here's my plea for Shane Waldron this week. Please do not continue to feed DeAndre Swift and just let Roschon Johnson take over and whatever happens, happens. DeAndre Swift right now has 37 carries on the season for 68 total yards. Now, there's always somebody that says basically, well, I could have done that watching the TV. If you've ever been at a bar, you're ever at one of your boys' house, wherever, I could have done that. It's really not an exaggeration to say that people watching wouldn't do too much worse than what DeAndre Swift has done so far for the 2024 Bears. So what I'm hoping here in this game, let Roschon Johnson cook, let him play, give him 10 to 15 carries, kind of start to fade DeAndre Swift out of the offense, and at least for now, at least for the next couple of weeks, to see what you have. Because what DeAndre Swift has been doing through the first 3 weeks hasn't been working. Now, the Bears also have a lot of questions along the offensive line, but there's a reason the Eagles let DeAndre Swift go. There's a reason the Lions let DeAndre Swift go for, it's like a 4th round pick and a 7th round pick swap. It wasn't a lot for the production the Eagles received last year from him, which was over 1,000 yards. So, all of this to say, let Roschon Johnson play. And not only that, but the Rams corners are not all that good, and they're also banged up along the offensive line. So the Bears have a chance to really, really control this game in the trenches from the start. I mean, the Bears defense needs to get after Matt Stafford. They need to, if I'm the Bears, if I'm Matt Eberflus heading into this game, my goal is to, as simple as this sounds, make Matt Stafford beat us. And I know that's kind of going to sound kind of counterproductive because of Matt Stafford being a probable future Hall of Fame quarterback, but the receivers that the Rams have with Puka and with Cooper Kupp out are not as good as what the Bears have in the secondary. So stop the run, trust your corners out on islands, and force Matt Stafford to beat you, because I don't think that's going to happen. Now, I do think this could be another back-to-back big game for Caleb Williams. He had over 350 yards passing last week. I would like to see Shane Waldron effectively let Caleb cook again this week. The Bears had 3 receivers last week with over 75 yards, which was pretty cool. I mean, they almost had 200-yard receivers in the same game. So I think it's going to be another big week for Caleb. The turnovers, they'll gradually come down. Caleb's not going to throw multiple interceptions a game for the foreseeable future. They're going to come down. I think the Bears are going to win. I think it's going to be 24-17. I think the Bears are going to be back in the win column. I really worry about the Rams secondary, and I really, really worry about their depth along the offensive line, and especially the receiving depth. So I think Chicago should win. I would be kind of surprised if they don't. I am hoping for another big game for Caleb Williams, and I think I wouldn't be surprised if he was back-to-back 300-yard passing games. Rams 59, Bears 3. Don't think that one's going to happen. That's certainly a hot take. I just don't think that one's going to happen. Let's see here. Saw somewhere that Shane Waldron was going to give Johnson more work. I hope you're right, Doug. I really do. Should I start DeAndre Swift or Zach Charbonnet? I would probably say Charbonnet. Jared Verse looking awesome right now. You're 100% right. You are 100% right. Kirk Edwards, take this shirt off. I think if you're who I think you are, Kirk, then that's a funny comment. I'll just leave it at that. I think that's actually like one of my boys in real life. I think. Could be wrong, but we'll see. If he texts me, I'll know for sure. But Kirk, if it is you, let me know. Anyway, Jags Texans is up. All right, let's see here. Do you think Caleb should listen to Stroud? I just think the internet made that an entirely just bigger deal than it was. I mean, all CJ was saying, like, just keep your head up. You're going to be fine. I mean, that's it shouldn't have been as much of a discussion as it was. Like, oh man, CJ's big bro and Caleb. And it wasn't really that. Hey man, keep your head up. Keep going. Thanks. Okay. See ya. I thought it was much more of a internet making a big deal out of what was just a, hey man, just keep your chin up type thing. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. All right. Let's see here. Bears' offensive game plan was atrocious versus the Colts. Throw it 52 times versus the worst rush defense. The thing was, they had like 28 carries for 60 yards. The whole Bears game plan against the Colts was frustrating. Or not game plan, but the lack of execution. To average less than 2 yards per carry after the Colts allowed 470 yards on the ground in the first 2 weeks was awful. Let's see here. Like I said, if you guys are enjoying, please drop a like. Would very much appreciate it. Stroud was being good to him. He's so likable, and that's where I would stand with that. Now, for Jags Texans, if you guys did not watch the Jags video that I did, it came out yesterday. Guys, I I have a lot of concerns with the Jags. A lot of concerns. And their process over the past few drafts has been very, very frustrating. Trayvon Walker was, that's the big one. Number 1 overall, Trayvon Walker should have never happened. And even after that, there were a lot of questionable decisions. Brenton Strange in the second round is another big one that I never understood. And I say that as somebody that has watched every Penn State game for the last 10 years, kind of minus the COVID season, because that was a really funky season. But I never thought Brenton Strange was a second round pick. I thought he was a hopeful day 3 player. And I'll just say this, guys. The Jags right now are a bad football team. They have a quarterback that is developing a lot of bad habits, that is unconfident, and I think Trevor is, because of who Trevor Lawrence was as a draft prospect, and because of kind of his base of play is a lot higher than where Bryce Young's base of play was, that the Jags are kind of getting kind of protected because of, Trevor Lawrence could be this player, and he could be a good player, but what we're seeing right now on tape is not a good player. We're not seeing a good offense. Cam Robinson also hasn't been great. Anton Harrison, I've expressed my concerns with him. He's also not a great player a year and a couple of games into his career. And the receivers aren't getting open. The receivers also have the tied for the second most drops in the NFL. They're coming off a short week in which they got beat by 37 points. I'll just say this, guys, about the Jags. I would be absolutely shocked if they go into Houston and they beat the Texans on Sunday. And I would be shocked. The Texans are also coming off of a 27-point loss in which they were embarrassed. There has been very few losses in the C.J. Stroud era where they have been just thoroughly beat. They were beat by the Ravens in C.J. Stroud's debut last year, 25-9, and they were also beat in the playoffs by one of the best defenses in the past 5 years in the 2023 Ravens defense. But aside from that, obviously it's been a lot more good than bad. And with the Texans coming off a 27-point loss, I would be floored if the Texans lose this game. Now, I did have a bold take. I tweeted this out, sent it out, Football Analysis on Twitter. Go check out the Twitter if you guys aren't following already. But I have a hot take for this week. I do hot takes every week on Twitter. I think there's a decent chance that Doug Peterson is fired if they fall to 0-4. The only, I think, saving grace for Doug, and I'm going to read the Jags schedule, I think this would be the only saving grace, is because their schedule coming up is not all that bad. So I want to go ahead and read their schedule because I really think they are going to start 0-4. So I want to go ahead and read their schedule. Weeks 5 through 7. Indy, at Chicago, New England. The Chicago and New England games are in London. The London games to me are always weird. I feel like I would have to favor the Jags because they have so much experience going to London with the time change and flying overnight and all of that. And there's always a discussion of, well, are we going to fly over Tuesday? Are we going to fly over Friday? Are we going to fly overnight? How are we going to do all of that? But even if they improve to 3-4 after week 7, this is the Jags we're talking about, because I don't see any scenario that they're not 0-4 after Sunday. Their games after that are home against Green Bay, which I think would be a loss. They go to Philly on Sunday night, which I definitely think would be a loss. They play Minnesota at home, which I think Brian Flores, right now, based on what we've seen through the first 3 weeks, would absolutely eat Trevor alive. That would be another loss, and they'd be 3-7 through 10 games. And then they go to Detroit, which would put them at 3-8. And then they have a bye, and then guess what? Off the bye, they come home and play the Texans. We're talking about a team that could very easily be 3-9. Guys, I don't see with the Jags. Texans, to me, I'm going to say, I don't think it's going to be particularly close. I'm going to say 30-17. I know they're division teams, and this was actually the last team that the Jags beat with Trevor starting, because they did beat the Panthers last year with CJ Beathard starting, but I don't see it with the Jags, guys. I'm out. All right, let's see here. Steelers or Colts? All right, let's go ahead here. Let's see. Jags schedule was hell. It's certainly not good. Jags 0-17. I don't agree with that. They have to roll with Trevor. They just wasted all their money, and they do. They do have to roll with Trevor. Danny Dimes looking better than Trevor Lawrence. That's not an exaggeration. Good call on the truth. Texans 33, Jags 17. Good call there. I said 30-17. I actually said that without reading your comment, but great minds think alike. Jags are a dumpster fire. Thanks for Hutchinson, Jags. Good call from a Lions fan. Do you think Doug is going to get fired week 7? I would be surprised if he's not by the end of the season. I would be surprised. What's up, bro? Perfect. How we doing? Tails from the trip, Texans 31, Jags 24, and I like the reasoning, just because they've played close. It's a division game. Generally, I stay away from blowout division games. I mean, unless it's like Well, Panthers Saints week 1 was a good example. But I generally do not predict like blowout in division games. All right. Do you think Seahawks Lions will be a shootout or will it be a defensive slugfest? We'll get there. And I think it'll be a pretty defensive game, to be honest. Colts are not good in the slightest. Anthony Richardson can't make simple throws. Got to take the Steelers. Let's break the Steelers Colts down. So, Steelers defense through the first couple of weeks has been phenomenal. Now, I mean, it has to be noted. I'm not hating on the Steelers. I'm just simply pointing something out. They have played Kirk Cousins coming off Achilles. They have played a rookie Bo Nix, and they played Justin Herbert in a game where he left in the second half, and they also lost 2 tackles in the same game in Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt, and Joey Bosa also got hurt. You can't control who you play, and don't apologize for being 3-0. Bottom line, you cannot control who you play. But, guys, I'm going to be honest, I don't like the chances for Anthony Richardson in this game. Anthony Richardson, as much as I like him and as much as I like the idea of him being a successful NFL quarterback because he's in a great situation, guys, there's so many times where they'll run a concept. I'm gonna try to do this way, like backwards. So they'll run a deep post, they'll run a deep over, and they'll have the safety go on the deep post. And all AR has to do with the receiver clearly getting separation on the deep over, all he has to do is if they have a corner dropping, what he has to do is just bend them back towards the line of scrimmage and throw a bullet. And there's been a couple of interceptions this year where AR just lets it fly, and not in a good way. Like he'll throw off his back foot, he'll let a ball hang way too far up in the air. There was an interception against the Packers that was completely just not inexcusable, but it was completely preventable. And I don't see any way. This could backfire, by the way, but I don't see any way that Anthony Richardson had. Well, this part I don't think will backfire. I just don't see any way that Anthony Richardson has a successful passing game against the Pittsburgh Steelers in Week 4. Now, if they run for 150 yards and Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor play like the players we thought they were going to in the preseason and the offensive line dominates in the trenches, that's a different discussion. But if the Steelers make them one-dimensional, it's going to be a long day. Now, full transparency, I don't think the Steelers are going to put up 35 points on the road. I don't. But I would also be very surprised if the Steelers don't win. I think somebody asked about a defensive slugfest earlier. I think this is a game that has the potential to be the defensive slugfest. And I think it's going to be pretty close to what last week's score was for the Steelers, 20-10, 19-12. It's going to be lower scoring. It's going to be really lower scoring. And like I said, if you guys are enjoying, please drop a like. Helps the stream tremendously. And like I said, the streams have been getting bigger every week, so we're going to continue to do the streams, and I'm glad that you guys are enjoying. This is a great comment here from Amstel. You need accuracy. You 100% do. I just made a trade in fantasy for Pickens and gave them AR. I hope I was right. I mean, AR is going to put up points, but he's just a frustrating player. Steelers 24, Colts 10. I could very easily see that. My guy Sammy. He says Steelers going to win the AFC North. Browns, Bengals, Ravens all doing bad. They're finna start off 10-0. I don't know about that. But Sammy, OG, longtime supporter. And he's a big Steelers fan. So glad to see you in the chat, Sammy. Glad to see you in the chat. All right. Any possible midseason trades? Absolutely. And we'll discuss midseason trades. There will be a video on that. We'll 100% discuss them. Steelers 13, Colts 7. I could see something along those lines for sure. I could definitely see those. Yeah, Steelers, I could see 13-7. TJ about to go crazy. It's gonna be a low scoring game for Steelers Colts. I don't think T-Law is as bad as he's playing right now. I hope you're right. I mean, I want the best for Trevor. Can Fields become a better passer? I think he can, but right now he has been asked to do a whole lot. He has not been asked to do a whole lot, and I'm glad the Steelers aren't saying, "Hey, Justin, go put up 50 points and go play hero ball." That's not going to be Justin Fields this year. I don't think that's ever going to be Justin Fields, but I think he can be a little better than what he's shown, and I think we've seen the right steps so far, which is a good thing to see after the Chicago couple of years. Probably my favorite football channel, unbiased and logical. Appreciate the support. All right, Broncos at Jets. Here we go. We have, and this is a good comment here from Selesky, we have a revenge game. We have Zach Wilson revenge game. We have Aaron Rodgers almost going to the Broncos revenge game. We have, who's the coach? Nathaniel Hackett revenge game. We have there's a lot here. There's a lot going on in this game. I'll say this, guys. I'm happy for the Broncos last week. 26-7 win, big win for them. But just being honest, I don't think that's going to carry over. I'm just reviewing my notes here. I just don't think they're going to go into New York and win. And it was a good win for them. They forced multiple turnovers last week. They had a really, really good game. They held the Bucs to just 223 total yards of offense. And I would be surprised if they go into MetLife and put up 20-plus points. Now, the Jets are also coming off of 10 days rest. And it is going to be... I think it's going to be a lower scoring game, and I think that whenever you have an Aaron Rodgers and whenever you have Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson, the expectations for those three specific players are it's going to be potential offensive player of the year candidates for those two, and Aaron Rodgers is going to have a good year, and I thought that was certainly going to be the case, but it's been surprising to see that, you know, Rodgers sprinkle the ball around to Lazard and to Conklin and everybody else that he has rather than, you know, really pepper Garrett Wilson. Another thing to note in this game, Zach Allen he's been playing like a monster, and I'm really wait, hold on, let me confirm something real fast. One thing that I did wanted to note before I got into that was Olu Fashanu, first career start. Olu is starting in place of Morgan Moses, who went down last week, and I'm really eager to see how that turns out. But yes, Zach Allen he's been playing like an animal. He has 18 pressures in the first couple of weeks of the year. And with the Jets offensive line having potential question marks, that is definitely something to pay attention to. But for me, it boils down to, can a Bo Nix led offense that does not have a great ground game, and granted we saw flashes last week. I know Tyler Beatty had that big run last week. Can Bo Nix go into MetLife and beat a really good defensive team with an offensive line that's had question marks, despite the Broncos investing as much as they have in the offensive line over the past year and a half? And to me, the answer is no. I don't think it's going to be like 35-7, but I think the Jets are going to comfortably win. I think it's going to be around 24-13. I think the spread's 7, and I think that's very fair. 24-13. 23-16. I think the Jets are going to win. All right, let's see here. Jets 24, Broncos 14. Good call, Selesky. I did see one comment here. Football Logic, appreciate you, man. Background looking nice. We're getting there. I can't like pull it off here. I want to. I'm actually going to see if I can real fast. Actually, we got it right here. I'm gonna bring this in. We're gonna have this in at some point. The plan, by the way, if you're wondering for the background, I'm gonna put it like right there. We're gonna have the plaque here at one point. But I do have the plaque off to the side here on the wall. I'm gonna hang that back up after the stream. But I do plan to have the plaque here at some point. So we're certainly working, all things considered. But we're gonna move on to the next game, and the next game is Eagles Bucks, and this is definitely an interesting one. We do have a super chat here, and sorry, it's from Dominique. Dominique says, if the Jets win big, London week 5 will be worth the early morning wake up. Vikings good, Jets better. The thing is a little spoiler, guys. I'm thinking about going live, like doing a live stream like this for Vikings Jets. I have a TV off in the background here, so I'm thinking of just watching the game there and then giving like a play-by-play, maybe even streaming on another monitor, but we'll see. All right, back to the stream. But yes, Vikings Jets is going to be electric for week 5. It's going to be electric. No shirtless live stream, by the way. No shirtless live stream. No. Unless like there's like a 97-yard touchdown, maybe, which would be the second 97-yard touchdown. But anyway, Eagles Bucks. Here we go. This is an interesting game for a lot of reasons. Because first off, on a serious note, the Hurricanes going through right now. I think it's going to be out of there by then, but if anybody's being affected by that, like my thoughts and prayers go out to you and your family, and that is real serious, like real life shit. So please be safe. And I don't know if that's going to affect this game, although I think it'll be out of there by then. But but Devonta Smith, AJ Brown, Lane Johnson, all out for the Eagles in week 4. And I was surprised to see that the spread was only like 2 points. That one was baffling to me. I know the Bucks lost 26-7 last week, but I think the media is kind of sleeping on Tampa a little bit. And with Tampa coming off of a 19-point loss from last week, I really do think that Tampa's going to win this game. The Eagles also frustrate me. Nick Sirianni especially frustrates me. And it's just I mean, the thing is, the Eagles dominated last week against the Saints, and they should have won by a lot more, and they should have won against the Falcons they should have won, not just won by more, but they should have beat the Falcons. But with all three of those players out, I mean, guys, the Eagles, I'm going to pull up the Eagles depth chart because their depth chart right now at the receiver position is not good. And to give you an idea of who Jalen Hurts is throwing to in this game, here are his top three receivers because it's very interesting. It's Jahan Dotson, who I don't think is all that good, Johnny Wilson, Paris Campbell, and I mean, that's not great there. So I also think the Bucs are going to play a lot of bend, not break, similar to how they did against the Lions. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game, and I think it's going to be pretty close. I think it's going to be 20-13 final. Give me Tampa over Philly. With that many players out for the Eagles, I worry. I worry. And right now, I think the starting tackle for Lane Johnson is going to be Fred Johnson. So, going to be a bit of a drop-off at the right tackle position. Yaya Diaby's having a great start to the year for Tampa as well. Give me Tampa over Philly. It's going to be a close one, though. All right, let's see here. Hurts is no one to throw to. Exactly. That's what I worry about. And if you can make them one-dimensional, it's going to be an interesting day. All right, let's see here. Goddard will need to carry again. He will. And I don't think he's going to have back-to-back 170-yard games, which was a career high last week. All right, let's see here. Let's see. Darnold revenge game is going to be legendary. It's going to be awesome. Okay, I appreciate the SJ. I appreciate the super chat. Little fantasy question, and we're going to get back. We're going to get to the preview. I'm sure a lot of you guys are waiting to see. Should I start Kmet or Pitts? Someone help. So, Pitts plays the Saints this week. Kmet plays the Rams. I don't think the Rams secondary is all that good. I think the Bears are going to throw the ball a lot. We saw a 300-plus yard game from Caleb last week. I think they're going to stick with that. I personally would play Kmet, but that's just me. But I do appreciate the super chat, and that's where I would go. And like I said, if you guys are enjoying, we're almost at 100 likes. So we're at 84 guys. Let's get it up to 100. Let's go here. And Vikings, Packers. You guys obviously know. You see the JJ picture back here. You see the JJ jersey. I am a Vikings fan. I don't hide that. It's gonna be a war. It's gonna be a war Sunday, guys. It's gonna be a war. We have 3-0 at 2-1. Malik Willis or Jordan Love don't know who's starting yet. Nobody knows who's starting. Jair Alexander is gonna be looking forward to this game for obvious reasons. He loves playing the best receiver in football. But guys, the Brian Flores defense is. It's electric. I was breaking it down this morning. I wanted to I watched it earlier this week, but I was really watching back the Texans game and some of the plays that Flores does, some of the designs he calls. I don't know what the specific technical names are of the plays, whether it's like load tip 4 or whatever, or weak buzz or whatever, right? But I want to kind of like break down what he does. There was a play last week. Jonathan Grenard had a sack. The Vikings had 5 men along the defensive line. One was Harrison Smith. So what he did was he had Andrew Van Ginkel initially push the left tackle just to push him back a little bit and then drop back in coverage. That way the left tackle had to at least account for him, because if he didn't, then he would have. Andrew Van Ginkel could have walked in for a sack. So whenever you do that and you occupy the lineman just for a second, you give everybody else a 1-on-1 if you have a 5-on-5. Jonathan Grenard beat his man inside, it was before CJ Stroud could even get to the top of his drop. Jonathan Grenard was in the backfield. I am very much looking forward to this game. I'm very much looking forward to the chess match between Brian Flores and Matt LaFleur. And Packers fans, I'll say this. I will say this 100%. Jordan Love absolutely shredded the Vikings defense last year in Week 17. Absolutely shredded them. And it was a 33-10 final. Now, whether the Vikings starting quarterback was Jaron Hall or Nick Mullins, that didn't matter. The Packers were the very much better team on that day. But Flores learned a lot down the stretch of the 2023 season, and we've seen that at the start of the 2024 season. In back-to-back weeks, the Vikings have allowed 24 total points to Brock Purdy and to CJ Stroud. And I know Christian McCaffrey was out, but guys, 24 total points is what they've allowed. And the defense is, with the Steelers, one of the top 2 defenses in the league. Now, I think it is worth noting that we don't know whether it's going to be Malik Willis. We don't know whether it's going to be Jordan Love. That certainly is beneficial to the Packers from a pregame aspect because, we can kind of keep it in our own quarters all week, and that can, play from that advantage. Well, they don't know what we're going to do, so they have to game plan for both, and they have to, waste time game planning for both when the whole time we know it's going to be whether it's Jordan or Malik. But the defense, guys, to me, is going to beat the Packers. Now, I'll say this. Packers defense has been phenomenal. It has been great in the past couple of weeks playing the Colts and the Titans. I would argue the Vikings offense is a lot better than the Anthony Richardson-led Colts and the Will Levis-led Titans. But I think the Vikings are going to win. It's going to be close. It's going to be very close. And I think it's going to be a classic NFC North slugfest, 17-14. I mean, it's going to be really, really close. Bold prediction, I think Justin Jefferson's going to go for 125 and a touchdown. It's going to be a really, really close game. A couple comments. Jefferson scores on Jair. Aaron Jones going to do a leap. I think the Vikings are going to win. And if they do, and if the Packers do win, I'll congratulate them, be the first one to say, but I do think the Vikings are going to win. I think that defense is absolutely unreal. All right, let's see here. Can I make a video analyzing the best defenses in the NFL? We are working on it. Yes, we are. We will get to that, I promise. But we will eventually get there. Put the pipe down, says Mike. What? I'm curious as to what is crazy about its 17-14 prediction. I don't think anything was wrong about that, or anything was not wrong because it could be wrong, but anything was outlandish. Let's see here. Green Bay defense could expose Darnold. I still feel like the Vikings might pull a win. Vikings 28, Packers 25. KOC has dominated the Packers mostly when he has decent players. Yeah, the game last year, the second game last year was offensively it was tough. But Flores also, I mean, it was a great game from Jordan Love. It was also a phenomenal game from Jordan Love. Credit where it's due. All right, let's see here. All right, let's go, boys. Let's go. FTP, you don't have to congratulate them for anything. Spags or Flores defense right now? That's a good question. I'm going to go Flores right now just because he is the hot hand. Now, Spagnuolo obviously has the longevity, but right now, in the same vein, Josh Allen is playing a lot better than Patrick Mahomes. There's actually there's a lot of quarterbacks right now playing better football than Patrick Mahomes, but obviously Mahomes is Mahomes. So there's right now, in theory, a lot of better quarterbacks than Patrick Mahomes, if that kind of makes sense. But obviously we know that Mahomes is who he is. All right, Kyler versus Jaden is cinema. I would agree with that. Good take, Adrian. I would agree with that. Jaden Daniels equals Stroud with wheels. I think it's a little premature for that. But here we are, Commanders, Cardinals. I think this is going to be a very fun, very electric game. I think if you like scoring, this is going to be the game for you. The Commanders' defense is a unit I have a lot of concerns with. I do have a bold take from this game. Again, I tweeted this. I do think that Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to have the first 150-yard game of his career. And I also think, not to sound like an old head because I am only in my mid-20s, but I do think that there's going to be a time, whether it's 5 years from now, maybe even 2 years from now, but definitely 10 years from now, where you can look back and think to yourself, man, it was really fun watching Malik Neighbors and Marvin Harrison Jr. as rookies just go at it week to week. Who's going to have more yards? And Malik Neighbors is, I think there's a chance he could be a top 5 receiver by the end of the year. Definitely top 10. But Malik Neighbors is electric. Marvin Harrison Jr. is also a tremendous player. And I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to eat against the Commanders secondary. Now, to my knowledge, I do think that Trey McBride is out. So I do want to go ahead and confirm that. I think Trey McBride is out. I think. We're confirming this now. If you guys know, please comment. Please comment if he is. But that also kind of plays into why I think that Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to have a big day. I also don't think the Commanders' defense is all that good. I think it's going to be a really high-scoring game, and Trey McBride is confirmed out. But, guys, Kyler Murray, Jaden Daniels, this is, for a 4 o'clock game, this is, honestly, it's about as exciting as it gets. I mean, to me, it's the best 4 o'clock game that we have. To me, it's not really close either. No Eckler and no McBride. Appreciate that, Adrian. Kyler is good, but I think the connection between him and Marvin is in the works. Washington corners need help with pressure, which has been non-existent, and that was always a problem whenever you traded away Chase Young and Montez Sweat. But I think it's going to be high scoring. Jaden Daniels, 21 of 23 last week. Brian Robinson Jr. had a frustrating week last week. He never really got going. I don't think that's going to continue. I think Brian Robinson is too talented of a player to have continuous, just struggling weeks the way that he had. But when push comes to shove, man, this is really tough. I'm going to go Commanders 27-24. I think it's a really, really good game. I think it's going to be a really, really fun game to watch. To me, it's the best. There's 4 o'clock games. To me, it's the best game of the slate. All right, here we go. I don't have a lot for this one, guys. Patriots, 49ers. 49ers are very, very banged up. Cards 35-20, Commies 24, says Selesky. Guys, the Patriots offensive line is in rough shape. And it was heading into the season. Mike Onwenu also has not played well, and he was the lone bright spot along the offensive line. He hasn't played all that great so far. And I have a lot of concerns with the receivers, the offensive line. Ramondre Stevenson is a bright spot in this offense. I don't know if this is a hot take. I will say this now. I hope Drake May does not play at all as a rookie. I know he already has, but legitimately 6-7 starts. I hope he doesn't play. I don't think it would be fair for him to go out in this situation, and I don't think it would be fair against the 49ers. Although the 49ers' interior defensive line has been a little disappointing relative to the expectations I had for them. But guys, even with the 49, even with Christian McCaffrey out, who went to Germany to get his Achilles looked at, even with, I think they have a couple of players out as well. I don't think it's going to be, or I don't think the Patriots are going to go into San Francisco and win. I think, especially after the loss that San Francisco had last week, that they're going to bounce back. It's not going to be pretty. I think this is going to be a very, very ugly game, but I think it's going to be a 20-12, a 17-13. It's going to be a lower scoring game, and I think it's going to be a little closer than you think. But I don't think this is certainly not going to be a high scoring game. The Patriots offensive line against the 49ers defensive line is a recipe for Jacoby Brissett to get sacked 6 or 7 times, and it's going to be tough for the Patriots to score. 49ers offense is, we need to, really need to see it get going. Jawan Jennings had the game of his life last week. That's obviously not going to be expected every week, but Jawan Jennings, if he can get going, I think the 49ers are going to put up anywhere between 17 and 24 points, and the reality is I just don't think the Patriots offense can score that much with that much of an offensive line that is just a liability. All right, here we go. All right, let's see here. This is a game here. Browns at Raiders. Niners 21, Pats 10, May in 2025, and that's where I am with that. Get Drake May a better O-line than bring him out. We don't want May to be like Trevor Lawrence. That's exactly where I stand with that. Flex Jennings this week. I feel like you have to, by the way, for the fantasy questions. Yes, I feel like you have to. I've torn my Achilles 2 times. That's crazy. I've torn my Achilles twice. It sucks, and I'm an old guy. For an athlete like CMC, it's mostly a grind. Yeah, I mean, dude, I dislocated my knee. That's my biggest injury ever. But tearing your Achilles twice would stink, to say the least. All right, here we go. Browns Raiders. Now I want to read all of the players that are out for the Raiders, because this is not a good situation here for the Raiders. All right, the Raiders this week have Devontae Adams, Max Crosby, and Michael Mayer all out. I didn't think this was going to be a high-scoring game already, as it was. I thought it was going to be 16-13, any of those, 14-10, 13-10, a low-scoring game. This, to me, with Devontae and Max Crosby, only adds to it. The Raiders, to me, have been disappointing to start the year. Luke Getsy, I was never a fan of as an offensive coordinator hire. Their run game right now is also all over the place. They haven't been schematically doing what they should. I mean, there's plays where, and there was a breakdown from Ted Newen from The Athletic. It was a great breakdown where there's guys that should be picking up guys at the next level, and they don't. And they're expecting a receiver to basically come in and cut off a strong safety on a zone play, and there's no possible way for him to get the angle. And the Raiders right now have 55 rushing attempts for 153 rushing yards in 3 weeks, and they're averaging 2.8 yards per carry. Now, I don't think Zamir White or Alexander Mattison are great running backs, but against the Browns defense, I don't think it's, and especially with Devontae Adams out, there's not going to be a lot of points scored. Deshaun Watson is not a good quarterback at this point in time. I think everybody would agree with that. Somebody did comment, and I saw this, how long till Jameis plays? And there's a comment here from Doug. Should the Browns move to Jameis? Yes, they absolutely should move to Jameis. They 100% should move to Jameis. Jameis Winston, I'll say this, left hand up. I refuse to believe Jameis Winston I refuse to believe that Jameis Winston doesn't give this team a better chance to win than Deshaun Watson. The Jameis Winston that I saw last year in 2023 was miles better than this watered down version of Deshaun Watson. Deshaun is not a good player. He's not. This is not going to be a high scoring game at all. I wouldn't be surprised if there's less than 25 points scored. I don't know what the under is, but this is not going to be a high scoring game. If it is, there's going to be a defensive touchdown, a special teams touchdown, a field goal fest. I mean, Devontae Adams and Max Crosby are out. I don't know how the Raiders are going to move the football. Their offensive line has also been a little disappointing. I would say Cleveland's going to win, and it's going to be like a 12-9. It's going to be an ugly game. 13-6. It's going to be an ugly one, guys. It's going to be an ugly one. Joe Mama says 9-6 Browns win. Thoughts on Cleveland, Vegas under 37. I don't know how they're going to combine for 37 points. They might play this game twice and not combine for 37 points. It's going to be a low scoring one. All right, Chiefs at Chargers. There's a lot of context needed around this game here, guys. The Chargers right now, I think Justin Herbert was a game time decision. Let me see if there's any update on that. The thing with Justin Herbert right now, guys, is right now it is confirmed that Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt are not playing. Justin Herbert, as of now, he's played through a lot. 70% chance to play is from a sports medical doctor. I don't know how trustworthy that is. He told reporters there's been talk about him resting. He doesn't think that way. He says he feels less pain. Look, I'll say this, guys. I don't think Justin Herbert should play this week. Both your tackles are out. You have a week 5 bye. Focus on the bye, or focus on after the bye, rather. There's a lot that can go wrong if Justin Herbert plays this week. I don't think the Chargers are going to win this game to begin with. And I want to pull up the Chargers schedule after their bye. I mean, look, they started out 2-0. They got injured in a big way against the Steelers last week. I don't want to say concede a loss, but guys, do we really think that they're going to beat the Chiefs with their starting quarterback and both tackles out, both of which are very, very good players in Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt? I mean, I'm sorry, but do we really think that? I don't. I mean, I don't. I'd be surprised if this game's within I'd say 10 points if that's the case. And the Chargers schedule after the bye is at Denver, at Arizona, home against the Saints, and at Cleveland, and then home against Tennessee. Guys, they can win 4 or 5. They can win 4 out of those next 5 off the bye. And at that point, which if they're 2-2 and then they would win 4 out of the next 5, they'd be 6-3 through 9 games. As cliche, I mean, as stupid as this sounds, just Chiefs are going to win this with quarterback, both tackles out. Don't get cute. The bye's next week. Focus on getting healthy. Chiefs 24, Chargers 10. I don't think it's going to be that close. Chiefs defense is also very good. I would be shocked if the Chargers win this one with if any team had their quarterback and top 2 tackles out, or not top 2 tackles, rather the left and right tackle, which I guess would also be their top 2 tackles. Don't play with fire. Just Chiefs are going to win. Chiefs are going to win. And I know people are sick of it, but do you realistically think that Taylor Heineke's going to beat Patrick Mahomes with backup offensive tackles with receivers that already aren't great? I don't. All right, let's see here. Kelsey has a great game against the Chargers and then falls off again like last year. Kelsey washed. Joe Alt delete. That is a very nice thing that I saw the Chargers social media. All right, let's see. War Bronco. All right, on a scale of 1 to screwed, how do you see the Chargers game against Kansas City? I mean, any quarterback and both tackles being out, I don't think anybody would win that game. And then you're playing the back-to-back defending champions. I feel like there's just not a lot to be discussed. If you guys are enjoying, though, we're up to 500 people in the chat. Appreciate everyone being in here. Hopefully you guys are having a great Friday, great start to the weekend. Please drop a like. It helps the channel tremendously. And please subscribe to the channel if you're not already. I don't have, like, a comment restriction on to where you have to be a sub to comment. But if you aren't subscribed, please subscribe because we're doing Week 5 preview next week. And we'll do the Week 4 recap Sunday night. And don't want you guys to miss. So, this is my favorite game of the week right here. Bills-Ravens. And this is gonna be a very fun game. This is the true Sunday night theme song. I've been waiting all day for Sunday night. This applies to this. This is gonna be one heck of a game. The last time these teams played, the Bills beat the Ravens, and the Ravens are 1-2. They won last week in Dallas. Very nerve-wracking win for the Ravens last week in Dallas, where the Bills had the opposite of a nerve-wracking win. They were up 34-3 at half, and they didn't have anything to worry about in the second half. Buffalo is in an interesting situation because everybody thought that it was going to be a retooling year, and I thought it was going to be like an AFC divisional round exit max. Like, they're still going to have a high floor because of Josh Allen playing at an MVP level every year. But I'll be honest, I'm surprised to see them the way they started 3-0, because it's not just 3-0. I mean, they have back-to-back now, a 21-point and a 37-point win. They demolished both the Dolphins and Jags. I don't think they're going to demolish the Ravens, but Marlon Humphrey's played well for the Ravens so far through the first few weeks, and if you can take away one of the Bills' weapons, and the problem is the Bills, their offensive slogan this year is everybody eats. So they've been, there's been games where Dalton Kincaid hasn't played well, or not played well, but he hasn't got the ball to start the year, but he got the ball a lot more against the Jags in week 3. If you can eliminate, slowly take away one weapon at a time for the Bills, that's going to go a long way. Now, for the first time, really since I started doing the channel, 4, 5, 6 years ago, I have concerns with John Harbaugh, and I have concerns that maybe the message in the locker room's gotten a little stale. I worry about the Ravens. And right now, I think the Bills are a better coach team. I think the Ravens obviously have the talent. Nobody's denying that, but the 10-point blown lead against the Raiders a couple weeks ago, and then the nearly blown lead against Dallas last week really just it doesn't sit well with me. And it's also really hard to stop Josh Allen. I think it's going to be a very, very good game, but give me the Bills in this one, in a close one, 24-21. I'm eager to see where you guys stand on this one. I am still says Cook is going to eat. I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. Lamar requests a trade after the game. No, I disagree with that. The Ravens are seriously missing Mike McDonald. I agree with that, and the Seahawks are absolutely loving the fact that they have Mike McDonald. I mean, Mike McDonald to me is, him and Brian Flores are, they're two of the best defensive minds. Steve Spagnuolo as well. Don't want to forget him. They're just two of the best defensive minds in football. All right, Ravens need to rally. They look like they're just going through the motions, and they do. And there was. I mean, I know Marlon. I don't know if you guys know how well Marlon Humphrey is on social media, but Marlon he's a personality. I love Marlon, but he goes live after every game, or like after every road game, and he like puts the cameras like right in guys' faces, and he's like, "Yo, we're live," whatever. Talk to him and whoever it is, and he had the live like right in Lamar's face and was like, and Lamar said basically like, "You shouldn't even be live right now. Like, get that thing away." Is essentially what he said. I worry about the Ravens, and I think they're going to fall to 1-3. But it could be a statement win for the Bills if they improve to 4-0 with a road win at M&T. All right, now to Monday night. Here we go. I hope you get more followers. This is a good channel. I appreciate that, Max. I appreciate that. We're getting there. We're getting there, baby. We're getting there. And we'll have some guests on and soon coming up as well, and probably more so in the offseason. But we had a lot of guests on for the team previews this year. For the Broncos, we had Brandon Perno. For the Texans, we had Brad Coleman. And for the Chiefs, we had my guy Cole from How About Those Chiefs. So we're going to continue to get the guests and bring more people onto the channel. But for now, Titans, Dolphins, I honestly, I don't know what to think about this game, because there's so much. There's so much to dive into this game. First off, the Tennessee Titans, the one thing that worries me, despite thinking the obvious answer may be Will Levis, it is in fact not Will Levis, although he's probably number 2. The thing that worries me the most about the Titans right now is right tackle Nicholas Petit-Frere. I mean, guys, he is a liability out there. And there was a play last week that somebody tweeted, and I went back and just watched the pressures that he allowed. There was a play where Nicholas Petit-Frere, I'm not exaggerating, the ball was snapped, he took a step back, kind of slipped and just half stuck a hand out, and then Will was sacked like a half second later. I mean, and the thing is, that's not the only play that's happened on this year. He is a liability, and if Jalen Phillips is on him, guys, this could be a Jalen Phillips career night. And the Dolphins offense without Tua, with the offensive line entering the year going to be as much of a transition year for the offensive line as it was, this unit always scared me, because they lost a couple of guys in free agency this year, Connor Williams, and then Robert Hunt went to the Panthers. Connor's now on the Seahawks. But Jeffrey Simmons and Tavondre Sweat could take over this game defensively, especially Simmons along the interior. So I think it's going to be lower scoring. I also worry about where the Dolphins are, kind of where their head is, where they are mentally at this point. They're 1-2, and their lone win was not great. They got blown up by 21 points last week. Skylar Thompson did not look good at all. And I think the Titans are, despite how it may look at times, I think they're too talented of a team to be 0-4. So I think Tennessee's going to win. I think it's going to be a close game, and I think they're going to win 19-14. I really do. I think Will Levis will tone down the bad plays. He's had at least one very, very bad play in each of the first few games. But I think the Titans are too talented of a team to be 0-4. And I titled the Titans team preview that they're going to be a thorn in a lot of people's sides. And if Will Levis can tone down the bad plays, and if Nicholas Petit-Frere can play average, the Titans win this. Those are the main concerns that I have with Tennessee, though. Also, L'Jarius Sneed is... We'll see how that pans out in the long run. But he has not been the player Tennessee has hoped through the first couple games. All right, let's see here. Let's see. Maybe we'll get lucky and this game will get canceled from the storm. Let's see here. Get She Knows Sports, another good underrated channel. Yeah, she does great work too. Lauren does great work. I'm a fan of her channel. Urinating Tree Tank Bowl intro plays. This game might be less watchable than Browns Raiders. Titans Dolphins. It's going to be one for the sickos. It's definitely going to be one for the sickos. Now, I'm going to enjoy it. I mean, football is football. When it's May 24th and I'm sitting there, wishing football is back a month after the draft, I'm going to wish that I could have Titans Dolphins. But this is, I said Bills Ravens was my favorite game of the week. I mean, I'm kind of excluding Packers Vikings from that because I am a Vikings fan. But excluding the Vikings and Packers and then the Bills Ravens, this is my second favorite game of the week, right? The second favorite game of the week right here. Seahawks at Lions. There is some noise about some people. Well, Mike Macdonald is, he's been a really, really good he's been a really, really good defensive mind, but who has he played so far? He played Bo Nix. He played the Patriots, who have their own problems, and then the backup quarterback Dolphins last week. So I think there's a little bit of doubt from the naysayers heading into this game that Ben Johnson's going to take Mike Macdonald to school and all of that. But guys, Tariq Woolen's played a lot better this year. Byron Murphy's going to be a problem for a long time for the Seahawks. I think he's played phenomenal. Boye Mafe is, I want to say, in the top 5 in pressures. This is going to be a great game. This is a great Monday night game. Now, I know people get annoyed with the Titans-Dolphins game, and I get that. But for as gross as that game may be, this game is going to be the opposite. This is going to be a very fun game. It's going to be a true chess match between Mike Macdonald and Ben Johnson, and I can't wait. This is going to be such a fun game. Now, Geno is, to me, an underrated player. I think there's some people that still think Geno is not a good quarterback, not a good quarterback, but not as good as he is. And I think people want to think of Geno as just the player that he was for most of his career. But Geno's a great quarterback. I think they're getting Kenneth Walker back as well. And DK Metcalf, I will say this, I think DK is a borderline underrated player, and I think he has improved tremendously as a route runner over the past couple of years. There was the 71-yard touchdown he had, I don't know who, it was week 2 or week 3. He ran, it was like they said after the game that it was an option route where DK made the decision to cut up the field, and it looks like a dig and go. But DK has improved a lot as a player. The Seahawks are a very good team. The Lions are not in midseason form. They're obviously still a very, very good team, but they're not in midseason form. And it's going to be tough to get to midseason form against a very, very tough Mike Macdonald defense. Now, it's in Detroit. It's on Monday night. The Lions have also not beat the Seahawks since 2012. This is the Lions' kryptonite. But can the Lions overcome that? Push comes to shove. I'm going to pick the Lions to upset, or not to upset, but to knock the Seahawks off, to have them be 3-1, and I'm going to pick the Lions to win 23-20. It's going to be a great game, and it's definitely going to be a great weekend, or great end to week 4 in what should be just a great all-around football weekend. So I'm going to want to read some comments. DK's diet is actually insane. It is. That whole video was pretty crazy. Byron Murphy and Leo. Whoa. Is Byron Murphy, is this actually true here? Byron Murphy is out. Okay, I did not know that done. Hold on here. Byron Murphy and Leonard Williams. Guys, I'm sorry. There are so many injuries. I'll just be honest. That one was on me. I messed up. I did not realize that him and Leonard Williams injured, Byron Murphy expected to miss some time. Okay. All right. Well, then I think the Lions are definitely going to win. I had the Lions winning before, but I definitely think the Lions are going to win now. Murphy and Leonard might be out, only should miss around a week. I hope so, because they both are phenomenal players. Not sure if you mentioned already, but when do you think Nick Chubb will come back? Honestly, I don't know. Lion Center is also out. Ragnow also, he has a pec injury, which that's not good, obviously, but I worry about like the longevity of Ragnow in that sense, because he's been banged up every year. I obviously wish him the best, but it's going to be a great game. McDonald versus Ben Johnson. This is one I'm very much looking forward to. All right, let's see here. Woody, my money is on the Seahawks. Appreciate the super chat, Woody, and good luck with that play. Definitely good luck with that play. The Nick Chubb thing, by the way, I honestly don't know. I thought it was going to be at least till week 5, if there's any timeline. I don't know. Nick Chubb examining when he's set to return. I thought it was going to be like week 5, because I know he started the year on IR. Goff also very bad under pressure. Yeah, Goff hasn't played well under pressure this year, and there were a couple of decisions in the Bucs game that were questionable, and we still saw some of the kinks working out in the Cardinals game as well. The Lions put up 20 points, but it was a hard fought 20 points. But let's keep it going here. Ragnow has the body of an 87-year-old, and that's kind of my concern with that. That's kind of what I was. I mean, not an 87-year-old, but that was kind of what I was alluding to. He's had a lot of injuries over the years. All right, let's see here. Let's keep it rolling, guys. But that is, what do you say about the Chiefs game? They're gonna win. There's not a lot to add when you have a quarterback and both tackles out. I mean, I hope the Chiefs offense picks it up. I hope Travis Kelce gets going, but that would be the biggest upset, one of the biggest upsets of the year if the Chargers win with their quarterback and both tackles out against the Chiefs. But guys, that is going to wrap up the Week 4 preview. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. And if you're not already, please subscribe to the channel. We go live every week. I'd like to do another live a week. We'll see if we can make that happen moving forward. But that's the Week 4 preview. Please please subscribe, and yeah, hopefully we have a good Week 4. Hopefully your favorite team wins this week, unless you're a fan of the Packers, because it's all about, guys, if we can start out 4-0, I'm going to be irrationally excited next week. But hopefully you guys have a great weekend, great start to your weekend. If you're not having a great day, hopefully in some capacity that, talking ball with everyone in the chat, that and listening to me talk about football hopefully made your day a little bit better. But that'll wrap it up. So